Welcome to Complexity Leadership for Practitioners. This presentation is going to introduce complexity leadership and is part of a short course designed to enable real-world application by leaders. This course represents the cutting-edge thinking on leadership. It's holistic and scalable, and it's based on 2 years research with an international group of leaders. If you follow the whole course, you'll learn how to think about leadership in a way that succeeds within complexity. You'll be able to understand your current leadership, find areas that can be improved, and you'll understand how to make those improvements. You'll understand about leadership modes and the ways in which they need to be balanced and what it looks like if they're not balanced. You'll understand interesting concepts like emergence and paradox. And overall, you're going to move away from outdated and ineffective leadership models. But first, I need to give you some background on how we came to be here. First, let's look at the way that thinking on leadership has evolved. Towards the end of the 20th century, the world started to change rapidly. From around 1950 to 1990, technology started to move away from mechanical and simple electrical components towards microchips. Global travel started to really take off in the 1970s and 1980s. Global communication moved from landlines to mobile phones. Most significantly of all, computers went from scarce to ubiquitous. By the turn of the century, every office had a computer at each desk. The internet also moved from a niche technology to something every home should have. In that same period of time, thinking on leadership remained substantially unchanged. Most leadership writing was based on observation. This is still the case today. Studies tend to focus on a single leader, one person leading the charge. Almost no writing is on matrix leadership, shared leadership, distributed leadership, and so on, despite the fact that they've been commonplace for many, many years. Studies almost always assume traditional hierarchies, the wisdom of the leader filtering down to the masses. Strategies observed in one industry or situation are then often taken out of context or proposed for general application. Often, the leadership models are based on presidents, generals, captains of industry, and other public or historic figures. If we can just understand the magic that they bring, we can all become versions of them. Another area of leadership research is the methods used by volume manufacturing businesses, most notably Toyota. As Japanese quality control delivers better products than available in the West, the world struggles to copy their ethos. These methods normally assume deterministic behavior. This may be somewhat realistic in a production line, but in most organizations, it's not the case. Just in time is a good example of this. It's worth noting that just in time crippled the motor industry when the pandemic caused a shortage of electronic components, and with no buffer stock, the lines were forced to close. The general message with much of this thinking is that we need to make the world fit to our plans. In the 21st century, the world is highly complex. This requires new thinking. A complex system is a dynamic network. The more things or people that are networked together, the more they affect each other and the less predictable the detail becomes. Sitting somewhere between determinism and chaos, organizations have patterns which are generally predictable but cannot be predicted at a detail level. The increase in global complexity is reflected directly in businesses and organizations. What does all this mean to leaders? The traditional leadership teaching of behaviours and situational methods falls short in the face of complexity. One of the key failings in traditional leadership is the reliance on simple and reductive business models. These can be useful only if the understanding complexity is also understood. Pretending the world matches your simple model is a common mistake in business leadership. Complexity leadership gives an understanding of the underlying mechanisms of complexity. This course outlines some key ideas in the field of complexity leadership, along with delivering a greater understanding of complex organizations. By the end of the 20th century, we began to understand complexity. This understanding comes from chaos theory and complexity science. The pandemic, financial crashes, and other global phenomena are all visible, emergent events from the complex systems which is the modern world. With the levels of complexity showing no signs of slowing down, complexity leadership has never been so relevant. That's the end of the first part of the course. Thank you for your attention and hope to see you for the next video.